What's going on, community? V4 is at the door. Everybody's panicking. All right, let's just get a little update here. Let's touch on some of the stuff, see what's important. So we just got the announcement of V4. We'll probably see that update next week. And there's some confusion about the mechanics here and just, I guess, what this really means for long-term development. So essentially, V4 is just an extenuation of V3. So there will be another testnet. There's a fork. They're going to relaunch it, redeploy it. But it's not the same type of iteration that we would have seen between, V1, V2, and then V2B and 3. Those were big jumps, lots more changes. What we're doing currently is that V3 is running as we'd expect. They're going through some of the clunkiness, gas estimation, small things like this. What the V4 will be is because you need to do another fork to make the changes to the validators. So the validators, again, you want them to be robust, you want them to be large, you want there to be a lot of them, very, very widely distributed. It adds rigidity to the network, pros of decentralization. There's some jurisdictional risk in some fringe cases. All that stuff is really advantageous. Okay, so you need to have enough incentive that people actually want to run them, that people who have that type of mind state, all your gammas and your Alexes from Hedron, all these guys want to make this thing as easy as possible because they want a nice, strong network for all the stuff that they build and participate in. The other is there's some sort of inflection points or thresholds where you can try to capture other people who run hardware. So if you look at mining pools or mining communities in general, any of these types of communities that are big in hardware, right? Like reporters for the oracles, all these types of things. This is your hobbyists, your professionals, your engineers, your guys with that more of a hardware mind state, do DevOps, that kind of cool stuff, right? We want the guys who already run hardware to come run hardware for us, right? Some of these guys just do this and more of they enjoy the process, but they don't have the same level of, say, like network loyalty that a lot of us here would, but we want them to, right? So to get all those guys over, you gotta basically bribe them, have enough APY, enough yield, enough incentive for everyone to come over and participate. So those changes are just about having good participation for validators and making sure that there's enough economic incentive for those guys. This doesn't change the inflation or any of that type of math that we're looking at on the actual tokenomics side, but it's very advantageous for the validators. So still gonna have it's a burn, but it's like less issuance. So a little bit of a caveat there as far as the tokenomics on PLS. But again, this isn't the deviation from the plan that it might seem for a lot. I know RH just said sorry about another testnet. Some of this is also just kind of a pro and con between how much we communicate and how much you don't, right? So at LL, we have the same kind of a challenge where you want to have a lot of transparency. You want to explain what's going on in development. People are interested. They like participating. It's some of the ethos of crypto. People want to get their hands dirty. They want to hone their own keys. They want to own their own tokens, all these types of mechanics, right? But whenever you give updates, sometimes these things are extremely difficult to understand and they can give people anxiety, especially when they're waiting and there's bear markets and all these types of things. So there are some trade-offs to this communication. So I think that as a community, we should take a deep breath, be very, very thankful that the team is willing to be as transparent as they have been. This is something we complained about previously. So we got to kind of pick a side of the fence. You can't complain about no updates and then be mad at every update. Take a second, listen to some of the great voices in the community to work through what some of these things actually mean. And again, stuff's ready when it's ready. This is just development. Stuff takes time. But again, this new iteration of the testnet is not the same level of deviation or step or changes that we would see with previous testnets. This is about just getting in the updates they have here. So if this was something that you could do from like kind of a standard commit to like a main branch, no one would even notice this. It wouldn't have been another testnet. It would have just been a commit that people thought was cool and then champion on the GitLab. So that's all we have there as far as the V3, V4 kind of shenanigans. Again, it's just progress, just dev. Now, something that is cool though is we have the PulseX buy and burn. We've got that front end up. It's really cool. People are really excited. And I just wanted to rehash this conversation. Is it something that we talked about a lot back when these things were first coming out? And so much of this, we either forget the conversations we had, or if you're listening to guys like K4K, they quickly move on to, cool new tech and they're looking at, the fringe stuff for themselves. And sometimes we got to kind of go back and go over the 101. And I think the buy and burn is one of those, that the 101 conversation is so beautiful on this mechanic. So the reason a buy and burn is so powerful is you get a few different effects on price. First, buy, right? Which means, so when that buy and burn happens, what goes on is those trading fees that happen as we interact with different liquidity pools inside of PulseX, there's a fee scrape there. So as you pay those swapping fees the same way you do on every DEX, a portion of that gets scraped, right? That's the actual term inside of the code, is a fee scrape. So a portion of those fees get held in a contract, and that's that buy and burn contract. And then it's a public call function, which means anyone can go through and actually click the button for the buy and burn. You actually get a small payout yourself, which is to incentivize people to actually initiate it, cover gas fees, things like that. All of the scrape, all of these tokens that get pulled into this contract then get swapped into PulseX, and that PulseX is bought, just like if you bought it. So when you buy something, the price goes up. So that buy and burn is price positive acutely right then. As soon as someone runs the buy function, price goes up, it gets purchased. And then there's two functions on the burn. One is immediately when that buy happens, there's less PulseX on the market. Those liquidity pools get slightly thinner, and it makes it more sensitive to more positive price action. The other part is the burn. Now, the burn happens is because the PulseX that is purchased from that buy and burn, that contract that runs, it buys it up, right? That's what we discussed. And now it goes to the burn. Okay, so once something is burned, it means just that. Burned, destroyed, vaporized, gone. It can't be rebought. So what you have is the acute price action from the buy. You have the slight thinning of liquidity as these PulseX come off market. And then you have the burn, which means they can no longer be sold on market. And so what you have is, if you have the same or increasing supply, or excuse me, the same or increasing demand with the shrinking or same size supply, you get price positive. So a buy and burn gives you all three of these price positive mechanics, where you get the acute buy, price goes up, less liquidity, price is now more sensitive to buy pressure, and then removal of sell pressure in the future and supply. So the buy and burn is incredible. This is the reason that so many people are so bullish on PulseX. And regardless of what you think will be more price positive or make more X's between Pulse or PulseX, even the idea that we're having the discussion that the DEX token could outperform the native token, who cares? That's a beautiful discussion to have. That means that the DEX token is so well engineered that we're so bullish on all these mechanics and DeFi in the DEX usage and its volume, that we're even having that discussion is just a positive, right? You wouldn't see these types of discussions on most networks because, again, you don't have that type of price action. You don't have that type of community around the DEX right off the bat. So just be excited. Like, the buy and burn is fantastic. Again, any of these debates, the fact that there is a debate for most of us that are just bullish on the ecosystem, we should be happy the conversation's being had at all. So I think those are the two big things right now that are pressing. We'll still drop our weekly update, but I just want to get something out on the V4. I know it adds, again, all these updates, sometimes they can add anxiety. I hate it when to see the community kind of up in arms. So again, everything is on board. This is essentially the same as a normal commit to one of these branches, except for, again, this requires a fork to actually implement those changes. Still rocking and rolling, V3, V4. It's just progress, guys. It's just dev updates. We should be glad to be included. Those things are on they're open source. People can go contribute themselves. And man, even when there's anxiety again, and when people are upset, it just shows how much people care. It's a symptom of passion. So guys, I love everybody. Please get at me. Let me know if I can help with any of these clarifying questions. We'll try to do more and more content, keep people up to date. Hopefully you guys are excited about the buy and burn. A lot of great stuff going on. Let's see. Last thing to touch on. So because they're going to relaunch, that means that a lot of the projects are going to have to relaunch, redeploy. So give every project a little bit of grace period. They have to go through, get things synced. There's architecture. We weren't expecting this. No one was. So give everybody a breather. Let them build cool stuff. Don't freak out. Again, days now won't matter. Weeks now won't matter. When this thing is up and running and we have the ecosystem that we've all been dreaming about and working toward for a few years, this wait will be nothing. These little conversations now will just be funny commentary flashbacks. A lot of us that have been here in the space already have them now, where we think back to the conversations or the little infight or whatever it was, and we think, wow, who cares? It was so petty. So take care of each other. Be nice. Take some time to understand. Listen to these community voices. And if you're someone who likes to contribute in the space, become a community voice yourself. Build cool stuff. Be knowledgeable. Pick a lane. Pick up something heavy. Do something really valuable and then bring it back. again, a lot of the things I speak on, I get from other community members who do a great job. So I'll try to keep this short, guys. Love each and every one of you guys. Appreciate the community. Take a deep breath. We're building cool stuff. They're building cool stuff. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.